Turn pain into power. Pain is not your enemy. It's your signal. It's your invitation to rise, to grow, and to become someone unstoppable. The question isn't whether pain will come, because it will, but whether you will let it define you or refine you. That's right. Every heartbreak, every failure, every setback, it's not a roadblock. It's a stepping stone. Pain is the raw material of transformation, but only if you know how to wield it. And today I want to show you how. Most people spend their lives running from pain. They distract themselves with work, social media, meaningless relationships, or constant noise, all in an attempt to avoid the uncomfortable truth: something inside of them hurts. But here's the reality. Pain doesn't disappear just because you ignore it. It doesn't quietly fade away when you pretend everything is fine. In fact, when you avoid it, it grows. It lingers in the shadows, subtly influencing your decisions, your relationships, and the way you see yourself. The first step to transforming pain into power is to face it directly, to look at it without flinching, and to acknowledge it honestly. Facing pain doesn't mean you need to be tough or stoic. It doesn't mean you have to hold it in or push it aside. It means giving yourself permission to feel what's real. It's saying, yes, this hurts. Yes, I'm struggling. Yes, this situation has affected me. When you finally name it, you take away its ability to silently control you. Naming your pain is like shining a flashlight into a dark room. You can't change what you can't see, but the moment you see it clearly, you regain power. One of the most effective ways to confront pain is through expression. Write down exactly what you feel. Be brutal, be raw, be unapologetic. Don't censor yourself. Speak it aloud if you can, even if it's just to an empty room. Cry if your body demands it. Screaming, journaling, or verbalizing your emotions might feel uncomfortable at first, but it is the first step toward liberation. When we suppress our emotions, they build up like pressure in a sealed container, ready to explode in ways we don't want. Expressing them releases that pressure and allows you to process the experience consciously. Another crucial part of facing pain is honesty with yourself. Stop telling yourself you're fine when you're not. Stop lying to your friends, your family, or even yourself. Pretending to be okay creates a false sense of control, but real control comes from acknowledgement. When you face what hurts you, you regain authority over your emotions, your choices, and your actions. You transform from a passive participant in your own life into the active architect of your future. Pain is not the enemy. It's a signal, a teacher, and a guide. It points out the areas of your life that need attention, growth, and courage. The moment you stop avoiding it, the moment you look directly at it and allow yourself to truly feel it, is the moment you begin reclaiming your power. Every setback, every heartbreak, every disappointment carries within it the seed of transformation, but it only blooms for those brave enough to confront the discomfort head on. The story you tell yourself about your life shapes every single decision you make, whether you realize it or not. When pain hits, the first instinct is often to see yourself as a victim, trapped in a narrative that feels unfair and unchangeable. Why me becomes the constant refrain, and every action or thought is filtered through that lens of helplessness. But here's the truth. The story you cling to is not reality. It's perception. And perception can be changed. Reframing your story is not about lying to yourself or pretending nothing happened. It's about choosing to interpret your experiences in a way that empowers rather than diminishes you. Pain is not a dead-end street. It is a crossroads. You can stay stuck in the loop of suffering, or you can pivot and see your pain as the raw material for growth. Reframing begins with awareness. Notice the language you use when you think about your circumstances. Are your thoughts filled with blame, shame, or despair? Are you defining yourself by what happened to you instead of who you are becoming? The words you use internally are incredibly powerful because they shape the emotions that drive your behavior. A simple shift in language, a conscious choice to see lessons rather than losses, challenges rather than punishments, changes everything. Instead of saying, I failed, try saying, I learned what doesn't work. Instead of thinking, I am broken, tell yourself, I am evolving. That small internal change begins to rewire your mind from a place of limitation to one of opportunity. Another crucial part of reframing is understanding the temporary nature of pain. Life is not static. Every heartbreak, failure, or setback is a chapter, not the entire story. You are not defined by a single moment or a single experience. By consciously reminding yourself that what feels unbearable now is part of a larger journey, you begin to shift from despair to curiosity. Ask yourself, what can this teach me? How can I use this experience to grow stronger, wiser, or more resilient? When you move from victimhood to authorship of your own narrative, you reclaim power. You take control of the pen and begin to craft a story that serves your future, rather than one dictated by your past. Finally, reframing requires practice and patience. Your mind will try to revert to old patterns of thinking, to relive pain over and over in a way that keeps you stuck. Each time you notice that happening, gently guide yourself back to perspective, back to empowerment. Surround yourself with reminders of your strength, your progress, and your resilience. Every story you tell yourself that highlights your growth over your suffering becomes a tool of transformation. In time, you will realize that pain no longer controls you. It teaches you, molds you, and propels you forward. Your narrative becomes a source of power, a story of triumph written in the ink of experience. Most people underestimate the power of taking responsibility. It's easy to look at life and point fingers, to blame circumstances, other people, or even fate for the way things have turned out. Pain, when unexamined, often becomes an excuse. If only this hadn't happened. If only they had treated me differently. If only life were fair. But here's the truth, blaming the past keeps you trapped in it. The moment you stop pointing fingers and start taking radical responsibility, you reclaim your power. You step out of the role of victim and into the role of architect of your own life. Taking responsibility doesn't mean that what happened to you is fair or acceptable. It doesn't mean ignoring injustice or pretending you weren't hurt. It simply means recognizing that you cannot control what happens, but you can control how you respond. Your power lies not in avoiding pain or waiting for life to change, but in mastering the way you handle it. You cannot change the past, but you can shape the future by deciding how you act today. Every choice you make, every reaction you have, is a brick in the foundation of the life you're building. Responsibility also demands courage. It's uncomfortable to admit that your choices or your inaction played a part in where you are. It's easier to blame someone else or to hide behind excuses, but avoidance is a trap. The truth is liberating. When you own your feelings, your actions, and your decisions, you stop being a passenger in your own life and start driving the vehicle. You gain clarity because you see the connection between cause and effect, between action and outcome. You see where you can influence change, and you stop wasting energy on things you cannot. Another vital element of responsibility is self-accountability. This means being honest with yourself about your behaviors, patterns, and decisions, and being willing to adjust when necessary. It means setting standards for yourself and refusing to compromise them. When you hold yourself accountable, you build trust with yourself, a trust that fuels confidence, resilience, and inner strength. Every time you act intentionally, rather than reactively, you prove to yourself that your life is in your hands, not in the hands of circumstance or other people. Taking radical responsibility transforms pain into a tool for growth. Instead of being crushed by what happened, you learn to extract lessons, to identify opportunities, and to act decisively. You stop being defined by what life has thrown at you and start defining life by what you choose to make of it. Power is not given, it is claimed. And the first step in claiming it is accepting that your choices matter, that your reactions matter, and that you are capable of steering your life toward the person you were always meant to become. Thinking and feeling are vital, but transformation happens in motion. Pain alone doesn't create growth, action does. When we are hurting, it's tempting to wait for the right moment, wait for clarity, wait for someone else to fix it. But waiting keeps pain alive. Momentum, no matter how small, is what turns suffering into power. Every step you take, every small action, sends a signal to your mind and body that you are not defined by circumstance, that you are in control, and that you are moving forward. Action is the bridge between despair and empowerment. The key is to start even when it feels uncomfortable or uncertain. You don't need a perfect plan or complete clarity. You don't need to wait until the pain is gone because it won't be gone immediately. The act of moving, writing a single page, sending a message, getting out of bed, going for a walk, creating something, releases energy trapped in your pain and redirects it into growth. These small victories accumulate. One step becomes two becomes momentum, and momentum becomes unstoppable progress. The fire of pain, when channeled into deliberate action, becomes the engine of transformation. Action also trains your mind to focus on solutions rather than problems. When you act, you shift your attention from what went wrong to what you can do next. You stop dwelling on the why and start experimenting with the how. Every action, no matter how small, is evidence that you are capable of influence. capable of change, and capable of creating outcomes that serve you. In this way, action transforms fear into confidence, paralysis into possibility, and pain into purpose. Another crucial element is persistence. Action alone is not enough if it's fleeting. Pain is persistent, but so must your response be. You need consistent, daily, deliberate steps even when progress feels invisible. Showing up for yourself over and over again is how strength is forged. You might stumble, fail, or take steps backward, and that's okay. Every attempt is a statement. You are choosing growth over stagnation. You are choosing to transform your pain into a force that propels you forward rather than holds you down. Finally, action empowers you with agency. When you take steps, no matter how small, you reclaim control over your life. You shift from reacting to circumstances to shaping them. Pain no longer controls the narrative, you do. The more you act, the more you internalize the truth that you are not defined by what happened to you, but by how you respond to it. Every move forward chips away at fear, doubt, and despair, leaving only a stronger, wiser, and more resilient version of yourself. The people you allow into your life have a profound impact on how you experience pain and how you grow from it. When you are hurting, it's easy to let negativity creep in unnoticed. Friends who criticize, voices that doubt, relationships that drain rather than uplift. Toxic influences amplify your pain, keeping you stuck in cycles of despair and self-doubt. The truth is, you don't have to carry that weight alone, but you do have to choose carefully who you let stand beside you. Surrounding yourself with positivity is not just about comfort, it's about creating an environment where your growth, resilience, and transformation can flourish. Positivity isn't about living in a bubble or ignoring reality. It's about seeking out people who inspire, challenge, and believe in you even when you struggle to believe in yourself. These are people who remind you of your potential, who encourage action, who hold up a mirror reflecting your strength rather than your shortcomings. Community acts as a multiplier. The right circle of influence doesn't erase pain, but it amplifies your ability to rise above it. When you're surrounded by support, your courage grows, your confidence strengthens, and your determination deepens. Another important aspect is mentorship and learning from those who have walked similar paths. Seeing someone else navigate challenges and transform pain into power provides a roadmap, a sense of possibility you may not see in your own struggle. Positivity isn't just about emotional support. It's also about access to perspective, wisdom, and guidance. The right people help you see that setbacks are temporary, challenges are surmountable, and pain can become a catalyst for profound growth. It's also about eliminating the energy vampires, the relationships or influences that drain you, gossip, and constant negativity. Protecting your mental and emotional space is not selfish, it's necessary. Pain becomes heavier when amplified by voices that reinforce fear, doubt, or helplessness. By consciously choosing who you spend your time with, you reclaim energy to focus on action, healing, and growth. Positivity becomes a shield as well as a spark, nurturing your resilience while inspiring you to keep moving forward. Finally, surrounding yourself with positivity teaches you to mirror that same energy back into the world. You become part of a cycle of growth and empowerment where your pain is not a burden, but a shared experience that connects and elevates others. The people in your life reflect back the belief that transformation is possible. They remind you that you are not alone, that even in the darkest moments, there are those willing to lift you, challenge you, and inspire you to turn pain into power. The ultimate way to turn pain into power is to transform it into purpose. Pain in itself is raw energy, frustration, grief, loss, or heartbreak. But without direction, it remains stagnant, heavy, and isolating. Purpose is what gives that energy meaning. When you channel your struggles into something larger than yourself, every scar becomes a lesson, every setback a compass pointing toward a higher goal. Your pain, once a source of weakness, becomes a tool, a catalyst for change, and a source of influence. Purpose begins with reflection. Ask yourself, how can what I've been through serve others? How can my experience guide, inspire, or protect someone else? Your journey, your mistakes, your growth, your resilience can become a roadmap for others navigating similar struggles. Think of the impact you can have by showing that pain does not have to destroy, that challenges do not have to define, and that suffering can be a teacher rather than a prison. When you see your own pain as a resource rather than a limitation, your perspective shifts from survival to empowerment. Transforming pain into purpose also requires courage. It's one thing to endure hardship privately, but to step into the world and use your experience to help, motivate, or educate others is a deeper level of strength. Purpose demands vulnerability, honesty, and commitment. It means sharing your story, not as a way to dwell on the past, but as a beacon of hope and guidance. Each person you inspire, each life you touch, multiplies the power born from your struggle. You turn what could have been wasted suffering into a force that impacts countless others. Action is critical here as, well, purpose without movement is just an idea. To transform pain into power, you must take concrete steps, mentoring, creating, teaching, volunteering, or simply being present for someone who feels lost. Every action fueled by the lessons from your pain reinforces your strength and solidifies your role as someone who does not just survive, but thrives and uplifts. The fire of your experience becomes warmth and light for others. Finally, purpose creates legacy. It ensures that your story is not merely about what happened to you, but about how you responded and what you gave to the world in return. Pain, once isolating and heavy, becomes a source of pride and achievement. You are no longer defined by what broke you. You are defined by what you built with the pieces. Transforming pain into purpose completes the journey from suffering to empowerment, from darkness to light, and from limitation to unstoppable influence. Pain is not the enemy. It is the invitation to rise, to evolve, and to reclaim your power. Every setback, heartbreak, or disappointment you have faced is not meant to break you. It is meant to refine you. By facing your pain head on, you take away its silent control over your life and begin the process of transformation. Acknowledging your emotions, expressing them honestly, and confronting the reality of your experiences is the foundation of turning struggle into strength. Every step you take to confront what hurts you is a step toward freedom, growth, and mastery over yourself. The narrative you choose to tell yourself determines whether pain becomes a prison or a path. By reframing your story, you shift from victimhood to authorship of your life. Pain no longer defines you. Instead, it informs and strengthens you. Every difficult experience becomes a lesson, a source of insight, and a reminder of your resilience. Through conscious perspective and deliberate thought, you can turn even the darkest chapters into fuel for personal development and empowerment. Your past loses its grip, and your future begins to open with endless possibilities. Taking radical responsibility transforms your life in profound ways. You may not be able to control every circumstance, but you can control your response. By owning your feelings, actions, and choices, you reclaim authority over your existence. Pain is no longer a reason for inaction. It becomes a catalyst for deliberate, purposeful movement. Every action, no matter how small, builds momentum, trains your mind to focus on solutions, and reinforces the truth that you are capable of shaping your own destiny. Power comes not from waiting for life to change, but from consistently choosing to rise above and take control. Finally, surrounding yourself with positivity and transforming your pain into purpose completes the journey. The right people, guidance, and supportive environment amplify your growth, while purposeful action channels your struggles into something meaningful and lasting. Pain becomes a tool for influence, empathy, and impact, leaving a legacy of resilience and inspiration. When you transform your pain into power, you do more than survive. You thrive, you lead, and you inspire others to do the same. Your story becomes proof that even the hardest trials can produce unstoppable strength. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it inspires you to face your pain, take control of your life, and turn challenges into opportunities for growth. Remember, every struggle carries the seed of transformation. Embrace it, act on it, and let it guide you to become your strongest self. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another video designed to empower and uplift you. Until next time, stay strong, stay focused, and keep turning your pain into power.